Hi, I'm Tobias from Stelzer Technologies, and in this video I'd like to introduce you to MeshAnalyzer Pro, an add-on for Blender I wrote. So before we begin, what is MeshAnalyzer Pro? MeshAnalyzer Pro lets you analyze your objects, your meshes, for poles, polygons, faulty geometry and everything that might cause you trouble in using modifiers, for example, like the subdivision surface modifier or UV unwrapping and so on, shading. Okay, let's start by creating Suzanne, and let's just go into edit mode. MeshAnalyzer Pro only works in edit mode. Open up the sidebar by pressing N, and there you have it. You'll see an Analyze All button, and you see several sub-panels you could expand. The Vertices tab, the Edges tab, and the Polygons tab. Each of these have their own options and Analyze buttons, and as you can see, everything is empty right now. We can change this by just pressing the Analyze All button, like I did here. And as you see, now we have a list of all the different kind of poles we have in our model here. So the 4-pole, let me switch to vertex selection mode. The 4-pole is your typical corner of quads, like you have 4 edges coming to one vertex. That's something you should strive for, but of course you can't have it at every point in your model. So the same logic applies to all the other poles. The 3-pole here are poles where you have 3 connecting edges, and the 8-pole where you have 8 connecting edges. And this is the vertex count. So as we can see, Suzanne has 395 4-poles, 73 poles, one of this 2-pole. And now I'm curious where this might be. So I select this 2-pole, and as you see, we see nothing. But if we toggle on the X-ray, you see it right here. By pressing point on your numpad, you see where it is. So this is the 2-pole, 2 connecting edges. Okay, this is part of the nose and might be acceptable to you or not. Let's see. Let's select the 8 poles. This is the 2 eyes, the center point of the 2 eyes. This again might be acceptable to you. It might as well be unacceptable, and this often happens with geometry like circles or cylinders. We have a few 5 poles here, and we have a few 6 poles. So let's see. What next? Well, and of course you can always change the geometry and reanalyze these poles. Okay, let's move on. The other thing is we have the option to find doubles. This is basically similar to merge by distance, but instead of merging it, it only finds these for you. So I click on it, and we see here these 2 are marked as doubles. So if I click this, I toggle X-ray, then you'll see there that they are exactly on top of each other. And this is something where you had you merged these by distance, you would have basically destroyed your mesh. Well, not destroyed, but this mesh is consists of wait a second, the eye part, which is this one, and the head part, which is this one. So they are separate objects, but both of these vertices are so close together that they are basically right on top of each other. So at this point, it is okay to have these doubles. You could move them slightly to make them not doubly anymore. And if we find these doubles again, we see, okay, now they're not quite on top of each other anymore. So you see why this find double option might be useful, where you want to find and assess these doubles, but not necessarily delete them. Oh, and of course you have the option to remove these doubles as well, which is basically the merge by distance option. So that's all for the vertices. Well, in fact, let me show you two other things. First, let's extrude this one here, and as you see, this is just a single edge. And the other one is, let's hit Shift D by duplicating this and just move it here, and Shift D and press Escape to let it here. So this is a situation if we now analyze these poles. You see we have this one pole, and this is useful to find these single vertices which are connected to the mesh only by one edge, and you probably want to delete those. So you can hit X, delete vertices. Now we analyze the poles again, and we have two 0 poles, and you probably know where this is going. If you select those, we have the single vertices I just created, and this one here you probably would have found also by hitting the find doubles option, but this one here you might have missed, especially if it's some way out here or something. So by selecting these and pressing X, we can delete these, analyze this again, and we have now a cleaner mesh without extra vertices nobody needs. Find doubles, 0 again. So the same goes, the same simple principles apply to the edge subpanel. So finding single edges. We don't have those, so let's just create one of these, find single edges, and there you have it. Now you can just delete this edge. You might say, well, this is pretty obvious. I might see this, even if it's inside the model. Find single edges. Probably could have gotten this, but there's one tricky situation. Let's say you're creating faces or anything, I don't know, and accidentally, so this here is one face, and accidentally you select one face, or create a face like this. Yes, so we have two faces on top of each other, and an edge that is oh no, this was the wrong one. We'll get back to that. Let's just assume for a second we hit just F with 2 ones. So if you look at this, this looks like 2 triangles, but if you try to select it, you see this is a quad with a connecting edge. And this, let me show you what this does if you create a subdivision surface modifier. 2 levels, and see this creates these ugly artifacts. And again, you might realize that this comes from this single edge, but you also might not. So find single edges, and there you have it. You can delete it, and now your mesh is, at least in this part, back to normal again. Okay, find non-manifold edges. This is the other one useful. We have a lot of these in in this model. I'll get back to this one in a second, but first we have this additional triangle we added, and we couldn't get rid of it by find single edges, but we found it by find non-manifold edges. And non-manifold basically means not watertight. So yeah, not watertight. It's not connected to the inside of the mesh, if you wish. So we could just delete this by hitting X and faces, and it's gone. But let me redo this. And just a quick word, we have a lot of these non-manifold edges because in this case, like I said earlier, we have these three separate meshes, and at each intersection point, the non-manifold edges are like shown because it is not, as I said, watertight. The skull of Suzanne has open holes here where the eyes are. Good. And the other one, the last one, is the analyze polygons. And this one basically gives you your numbers of tris and quads and the possibility to select those. So let's select all the triangles. Of course, these are the triangles in the eyes. But we also have a few here at the side of the head and the ears, and sometimes you can avoid triangles, but sometimes you probably do want to avoid them. And the other thing you might want to avoid is an ngon, depending on your software needs. And let's reanalyze this, and here you'll see we have the 6gon. Sorry about that. We have the 6gon. We can select it, and we can delete this face and and fill these with quad. Analyze again, and we have ourselves again a much cleaner mesh. Yeah, that's it. And I hope you liked it. Let me know in the comments if there's any functionality that you miss. Let me know if you could imagine that this might help you in your workflow, and if this might help you in your workflow. And yeah, in the next videos I'm going into some more detail on how you could use this, showing some examples and how to install, download and install the add-on. And if you like this content, then like and subscribe.